second guy.
What's the tempo?
1, 2, 1, 2. Overtime.
You got my heart working overtime. I let you in, let you cross the line. You want my trust before you have to try. Give all your love if you wanna keep me. You got my heart working overtime. I let you in, let you cross the line. You want my trust before you have to try. Give all your love if you wanna keep me. You want my heart if you want my trust. Play with my heart, give all your love. If you want my heart, if you want my trust. Don't play with my heart, give me all your love. But I'm gonna get right to it. I don't know if we should do this. You into something dangerous. 'Cause I'm little but I'm furious. I better be in the front seat when we cruising down Love Street. Don't waste this opportunity. I'm letting you get close to me. You got my heart working overtime. I let
Good morning, people. Ooh, man. Scott McGinnis, my man. It's good to see you, buddy. Yeah, I love it. You all know what's up at this point, don't you? Look at you. You bunch of sexy motherfuckers, you. So we're going to go over part 2 of the Vanity Fair Karen Reed article. And yeah. Listen, before we get into that, I got to give you guys a disclaimer here. I gotta be totally candid with you guys.
I think we got a super dad. Super dad. I think we got a super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Super dad. Dad, 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 dad. I think we got a super dad. I think we got a super dad. I think.
Rockin' horror. They don't understand that we want justice for JJ2. Thank you for taking the time to review today's article, Will, and thank you, Vanity Fair, for seeing this sham for what it really is. Free Karen Reed. I love it. Thank you, Shock and Horror. Peter Sichel. Vanity Fair article is excellent, but the author's vocal fry is a tough listen. I don't know anything about the author's vocal fry. I don't know who the author. I just thumbed through it. I'm going to be reading it. Now, if the reader's vocal fry annoys you, then I don't know what to tell you, buddy. But I'm sorry you had a bad experience reading the Vanity Fair or hearing the audio of the author with the Vanity Fair article. There's Dana. Hey brother, looking forward to this part 2. Yeah. Last night I had a really good live stream on Resistant to Silence and a great conversation with Dana and Tracy. You guys should absolutely check that out. Here, I'm dropping the link to it right here in the chat. So jump over there and check it out when you get a chance. It was a cool conversation, man. I actually had a really, really, really good time. And I really enjoyed it. After I did that, after I had such a nice time, Peter Sichel, come to the DC Standout in January. My house is clubber friendly. I appreciate the invite. Thank you. Appreciate it. And the super chat. I appreciate it. I'm going to be a little off today. I feel a little off, but I'll be okay. Nothing bad. So after I finished with Dana and Tracy's stream on Resistant to Silence, I ate a bunch of mushrooms and watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and it was great. And went to bed at like 2 a.m. and and so like so I'm still a little uncalibrated today, but I'm gonna get through this article and we're gonna have a nice time reading it. And I woke up today and I realized that I didn't eat all the mushrooms, and it put me in a dilemma. And then I was like, all right, well, I guess I know what I'm doing after I'm live. So no, just kidding. But yeah, it's fun. Always good to like watch a Marvel movie when you're under that influence. Always fun stuff. And no, I wasn't with Gretchen Voss. It's really funny because, like, if you're one of these people, and I get some people are just like, oh my god, but some, many of you there, many of you in my chat, have experience with this, and you've done it yourselves or still do, even indulge in it from time to time nowadays. And so, like, what I'm talking about when I picture. Somebody just asked me, like, oh, you ate shrooms by yourself? I'm like, yeah. Yeah. It's like the your own company is the best company once you actually learn to like yourself. It's pretty amazing. And then so someone asked me about this, and I was like, yeah, sure. But the 68 are healthy. Oh, you're talking about no, yeah, no, we're not talking. Yeah, we're not talking about grocery store stuff. And yeah, so I mean, it's just good to be able to do that. So and when you watch a Marvel movie, it's always real fun. So but yeah, and so anybody who indulges in this stuff or has when I say that, picturing myself in a room in that condition with Kate Peter and Gretchen Voss in the same condition, it's the stuff of nightmares. There's no fucking way I could handle. It's just, there is absolutely no fucking way that I could process that and come out okay. There's just there's no way. Yeah. So don't compare me to Gretchen Voss and Kate Peter, because I promise you that even though the same materials are involved, the experience is vastly different. The road is very different. And I would never ever put myself in a position to go down that road. I can't imagine how anybody would. Even the two of them with each other is bizarre. Just the thought of it is surreal in and of itself. We traveled from Florida to Tennessee yesterday to come to SF Jude for my son's scans. We brought feet care and read duckies. We all hide duckies' families to find and rehide. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's really, really cool. That actually, I mean, what's up, Mazza Media? What would be really cool, I feel like, is if you guys know that there's this culture. Are there Jeep owners? Anybody is a Jeep owner in my chat? Type a 1 if you're a Jeep owner, right? There's this kind of subculture that goes on with Jeep owners, right? And so many of you already know about this, and I see them all the time, at least here in Tennessee, where I see a Jeep, and in the dash, it has just a collection of rubber duckies, little rubber duckies, creative looking, cool ones, whatever, right? I would encourage all of you who engage in this to make free care and read duckies and share them with other Jeep owners in this thing. Now, this thing, what they do is, this is a really cool little culture that goes on with Jeep owners. Okay, is and I just read about this maybe a couple weeks ago, and there was this basically there's this thing where they get, somebody will have a rubber ducky and they'll see a Jeep, and just as an acknowledgement of one Jeep lover to another, I'm going to leave a rubber ducky on the hood of your Jeep. And then, you know, the owner of the Jeep will usually put that in their dash. And when they get too many, they give them away to other people, you know, or however they choose to pay it forward. But there's this pay it forward kind of culture with rubber duckies that goes on. So why not throw a bunch of free care and read rubber duckies you know, in the whole Jeep culture there. Those of you who are free care and read, and those of you who are Jeep owners, it just seems like a perfectly innocent and cool idea. So if you already engage in this little thing with other Jeep owners, then that would be a cool thing to do. And yeah, Richie Schiffer was in the chat yesterday, and it was always really cool to see that dude. Absolutely free Richie Schiffer, 100%. Amy in Boston, thank you, Jeep Girl here. It's called Getting Ducked. Yeah. Yeah. So it's perfectly innocent. it's perfectly innocent. There's no, you know, this way you could still spread the message of you know, making people aware of the case, at least to some degree, and you're still sharing rubber duckies with other Jeep owners. I feel like it's a perfectly innocent and really nice way to kind of circulate things. So part one, we went over yesterday, and they talked a lot about that John and Karen, they they drank regularly, but usually John, he seemed more relaxed. So there was no illusions of the two of them being angry drunks. There was no illusions of the two of them being nasty with each other, but they're, you know, your average, you know, blue collar, white blue collar, you know, people in their late 30s, early 40s who, you know, they go to the bar to unwind, or they have drinks at home. You know, I almost don't know anybody who doesn't do that. You know what I mean? Like I almost don't know anybody who doesn't know who doesn't do that. Like it's a very normal thing to do. And the way that Karen was describing it was that he drank, you know, but that was the only time that she ever felt like he was relaxed. You know, when he got to actually sit down, chill, you know, not worry about all of his responsibilities. And the interesting thing about that is I don't want to read too deeply into it, but I mean, what does that say? You know, if you look at what the division in which John O'Keefe worked in the Boston Police Department, that's got to be really stressful. I would say that is really, really stressful. And one thing I'm never going to do is throw stones at anybody who drinks, you know, responsibly, after having to do that all fucking week. So I'm not going to get mad at John O'Keefe for drinking regularly. I'm just not going to. So, you know, I'm seeing the trolls on Twitter talk about it and whatnot, and I'm just like, you guys are just trying to take anything. And the excerpts that I've seen from people posting on Twitter from today's article, seems like this author gets it and really doesn't seem to give a shit about whatever weird narrative that all of the other news media outlets are being force fed to them, that are being spoon fed to them. It seems like they're like, fuck this, I'm just going to tell the truth. And that's a big deal, because Vanity Fair is a big article, it's a big magazine, and when people write these independent articles that get published in there, a lot of them end up inspiring a lot of things. They end up getting a lot of talk going. I mean, if I remember correctly, that's exactly what started the Brat Pack. Was an article that some dude wrote and published in Vanity Fair. I think it was Vanity Fair. I'm almost sure it was Vanity Fair back in the 80s. And he hangs out with a couple of the people from this Brat, but there was no Brat Pack, really. That none of these people hung out with each other, and they cut loose one night, and then this guy writes this long-winded article about how irresponsible these group of kids, these actors are, and then labeled them the Brat Pack, and then it put them in a shell. Like all of their careers were basically that defined their personas as actors in Hollywood. So that's the kind of impact that an article in Vanity Fair can have, is my point. And so hopefully this being as forthcoming as it is, as it seems to be, and it being as informative as it seems to be, and it being having all of this information that we've just been dying for the mainstream media to talk about, it seems like this author is really doing that. Let me refresh my coffee here and then we'll get started. But I'm really excited about this because I'm seeing I'm seeing the right people praising it, and I'm seeing the right people criticize it. And those are very good signs. So, oh, you're talking. Okay, yeah. Now you're talking. That's beyond me, man. As far as I know, fucking Cobain decided to suck on a shotgun barrel. That's as far as I'm concerned. That's what happened. I don't have any real evidence to indicate otherwise. And I'm not going to start pointing fingers at Courtney Love over it. And I know a lot of other people feel differently, but I feel like a lot of that is very Turtleboyish. People feel this way because they just don't like Courtney Love. And then it's like they're trying to tie anything that they can to Courtney Love being responsible for this just because they don't like her. Because, so that's what it seems like to me. So I don't pay attention to any of that bullshit. And I had to buy a subscription to Vanity Fair to be able to look at this article. You're welcome, Vanity Fair. Getting my $2 a month. All right. So well, let me explain something to you real quick. Somebody's saying, okay, I'm not going to get too deep into this Kurt Cobain shit, but I'm going to make this one point. And somebody is saying, but he said he didn't have a gun. Oh, never mind. I just got the joke. I'm a little slow. I got it. Excellent joke, actually. That's you get, yeah, that's I get booed for not getting it in time. It just is what it is. That's yeah. Excellent joke. Anyway, so part two. Part two, Karen Reed tells her story. A new trial looms in Massachusetts. As new details emerge about the Albert's German Shepherd, the ACLU joins Reed's request to drop the murder charge, and Judge Beverly Cannone prepares for the January retrial. And before I start reading this, I gotta say, what's really cool about this article is this author wasn't fucking around. This author did her own investigating, did their own digging. Vanity Fair did their own digging into this case. They wanted answers. They wanted to know, okay, let's just get to the fucking bottom of this. Let's not be lazy and just start reporting what they want us to report. Let's get into this. And that's what it seems like they did here, and I love it. Good citizen, thank you so much. We'll look at the pic with Aiden on the court steps and who is standing behind him on the left. What the pic of Aiden on the court steps? Jesus, could you be any more vague? I'm just fucking with you, good citizen. But seriously, like, what pic of Aiden on the court steps? I mean, right. Oh, you know that pic of Michael Jordan on the basketball court? Jesus. You know, that pic with Michael Jordan with a basketball in his hand. You know? But no, I don't know. If you could be more specific, I would love to. Okay, in the article. Oh, okay, in the article. I'll focus on that when it happens. Thank you. I appreciate it. Good citizen. Hold on, here we go. Read part 1 of this story in which we did, blah, 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 blah. Karen Reed talks about what she says happened after the death of her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, and how she feels after her first trial. In Massachusetts, defendants need court approval to subpoena documents or physical evidence. Norfolk County Superior Court Judge Beverly Cannone agreed to a hearing in May 2023 before the trial began to determine whether Karen Reed could subpoena phone records from Albert and McCabe. But they opposed the motion. Cannone canceled the court date and denied Reed's request. 2 months later, Reed's team asked Cannone to recuse herself, claiming the appearance of bias. I love how they just started with this. Like right out of the gate, they're like, let's start with Beverly Cannone. Let's start with her, because I've been saying this shit since pre-trial. This woman has been showing signs of being absolutely dirty. Now, I'm not saying she's taken kickback from anybody or anything like that. I don't know. All I'm saying is, and what I've said many, many times, is if she is sworn to make decisions. Clever. Come on, dude. Thank you, buddy. If she is sworn to make decisions that are in the interest of justice, and she has, since the beginning of pretrial, she has been making decisions consistently as opposed to being in the interest of justice, it seems like, well, then that's corrupt. Her job is corrupted. What her job is to do not being done means that her job has been corrupted. If I'm being paid to flip burgers and I'm not flipping those burgers, I'm just staring at them, then I'm a corrupt burger flipper. I mean, am I wrong? I'm a corrupt fucking burger flipper, dude. I'm not doing what I was, what there was an agreement that I was supposed to do. And she has been holding Lally's hand throughout this entire process. And it's been going on for 2 years. This is not news. This is not, you know, you can't avoid this any longer. You have to acknowledge the fact that Judge Beverly Cannone has made decision after decision after decision that seem completely and totally bizarre for a judge to make, considering all of the evidence and then the lack of evidence as well. Esty for Vanity Fair subscription, because the public deserves to hear the truth. Karen Reed is innocent. Thank you for reading Vanity Fair part 1 and 2. You're welcome, and thank you, Esty. Appreciate you. Esty's a badass, man. Esty is the one that's out there, like at the State House, just doing standouts by herself. She's fucking a beast. So wow, thank you. That was really, really generous. Appreciate it. So I love that right out of the gate here, Vanity Fair is just like, let's start with the base of the issue here. Let's start with the problem with this trial. The biggest problem in this trial is you've got this dirty fucking judge. So Cannone canceled the court date and denied Reed's request. 2 months later, Reed's team asked Cannone to recuse herself, claiming the appearance of bias. Aidan Carney, the blogger known as Turtleboy, who has been covering Reed's case, said he received Facebook direct messages from a McCabe family member suggesting family ties to Auntie Bev. Cannone rejected that motion too, saying, "I've never socialized with a McCabe or any family members or witnesses who have been here in court." She added, "I reject the notion that untrue and unsubstantiated rumors spread on the internet can force a judge to recuse herself from a case." Less than a month later, Carney reported that Cannone's brother, attorney John Prescott Jr., represented Chris Albert in a motor vehicle homicide case after he killed a foreign exchange student in 1994 and subsequently led police on a 30-hour manhunt. Chris was sentenced to 6 months in prison. Vanity Fair has spoken to a source confirming Cannone's brother represented Chris Albert. At the time this story went to print, Cannone was slated to preside over Reed's second trial. Cannone declined to respond to all of Vanity Fair's questions. Dude, like, I fucking love that. Criminal Mind, thank you. Criminal Med, thank you so much. Appreciate you doing this article coverage. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I fucking love this. Like this, this is the first time that somebody talked about this besides Turtleboy. And they acknowledged Turtleboy and his work. They credited him. This is the first time that he's being credited. And when I mean credited, I mean someone acknowledging the person who's been covering the case. They acknowledged him. They called him a blogger, which is fine. It's just a different type of journalist. But they called him a blogger, but they said he's been covering the case and uncovered the fact that Chris Albert was represented by Beverly Cannone's brother. And I love that because if you guys, those of you who've been listening to me, I feel it's been absolutely unfair that Turtleboy has not gotten the credit that he deserves for the work that he's put into this case. He's the reason why everyone is so invested in it. So, I mean, that's just undeniable. And so for Vanity Fair to acknowledge this and it being the first time after months and months and months of me going off to going over article and news clip and news piece after news piece and just listening to them, try to make a clown out of the guy. I'm like, okay, you wouldn't even have the demand to cover this story if it wasn't for this guy, So it's crazy to me. So it's really, really great that Vanity Fair is finally covering this. A year after O'Keefe's death, Reed got a partial extraction of McCabe's phone. Here's where we get into some good fun stuff here because I'm seeing some fun shit here. Contrary to the Massachusetts State Police report, which found no relevant search history, Reed's expert Richard Green discovered that McCabe Googled Haas Long to die in cold at 2:27 a.m. on January 29th and later deleted the search. He determined that McCabe also deleted 18 phone calls from that day, including calls to her sister, Nicole, Brian Albert's wife, at 6:07 a.m. and 6:08 a.m. that were answered. Though the Albert said they slept through the commotion of the discovery of O'Keefe's body, wow, their bedroom overlooks the front yard. During trial, McCabe denied making that Google search before 6 a.m., claiming that she did so at Reed's request after O'Keefe's body was discovered. She also denied deleting the search, denied that Nicole picked up the phone calls that morning, and denied deleting phone calls from her call log. The prosecution's expert said that the 2:27 a.m. timestamp is not indicative of the time of the search, quote unquote, claiming that McCabe could have searched in a window that opened at 2:27 a.m. Excuse me. Vanity Fair asked Umit Karabiak, a PhD at Purdue's Department of Computer and Information Technology, who specializes in iPhone artifacts and the limitations of digital forensics, to evaluate the prosecution's expert testimony as well as an affidavit from Reed's expert. I fucking love this. So Vanity Fair went and got their own digital expert, their own phone tech guy, to look into this. I love this. This is what Vanity Fair is basically pulling a Turtleboy. Basically, hey, here, hold my martini while I go check this out. That's basically what's going on here. Okay, so how do we prove it? We get our own digital. The same thing that Brandy Churchwell did. 13th juror. Brandy Churchwell did the same thing where, thank you, Linda C. She did the same thing, got her own tech guy to look into it and explain to her what the deal was with this. Based on my research and expertise, I concur with what I see in the affidavit from Richard Green. Karabiak emailed Vanity Fair referring to Reed's expert. Though the browser tab was opened earlier than the searches, Karabiak says, the timestamp for the search items is recorded for searches and stored in the database, not the time of the tab opening. He noted that Green additionally verified the search times with associated wall files that are occasionally overlooked. Yeah, so right, you can't go back in time, dude. He's saying that shit has nothing to do with the timestamp of the tab opening. It's got nothing to fucking do with it. Like you can sit there and try to tell me that the sky is green all fucking day long, dude. You know what I mean? But that's been the prosecution's strategy this entire time. And Vanity Fair sees it. Vanity Fair sees what's going on here. The objective here is frame Karen Reed for this crime. Keep the attention and eyes from the jury away from the McAlberts. Keep them from looking at the McAlberts. Keep them from thinking anything about the McAlberts. Discredit anything. Make it look like the McAlberts are just being unfairly attacked by this woman who won't take accountability for murdering her Boston police officer boyfriend, right? But I mean, that's not a prosecution. That right there is very telling. When you are playing defense against the defense's defense as a prosecutor, you're probably doing something wrong. Because if you just simply had a case to present to a jury and go, hey, listen, the defense is going to sit here and they're going to tell you this, and this. And all I ask is that you simply look at the facts of the case. Just simply look at the evidence. We have this, and this. The problem with all of that is that they didn't have a case to present to the jury. And they have less of a case to present to the jury this second trial. This second time around, they have even less of a case. So what did they do? They hired they hired Boston's most infamous defense attorney, as I stated last night, since John Adams, and they got this guy. Basically, Morrissey is desperate. Since they don't have a case, he figures he can win over the jury. It's a competition to win over the jury over Alan Jackson. Outshine the big Hollywood lawyer. And I'm going to tell you, I hope that Alan Jackson retires after this. I really do. Because I think this is amazing. What he's doing. This is a great note to end his career on. I hope that he retires after this, writes a book, just lives off of this for the rest of his life. Because if I fucking if I wake up in the morning and go on my phone and start going through a news feed and I see that he's representing Diddy, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. I'm just going to fucking lose it. Okay? Right now, I love Alan Jackson and I want to keep it that way. But god damn it, if I wake up one day and see that he's representing Diddy, I'm gonna lose my shit. Go fuck yourself. Came a new YouTube member. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I can't have that. Yeah, I know he's still young, and I know I know it's a pipe dream. I know it. I'm a realist. I'm just joking around. I realize that Alan Jackson is a high-profile defense attorney, and if the money's right, no matter what the fuck the issue is, he's gonna take on the case if he wants to, and I'm not gonna hate him for doing it, you know. But I still wish I would have asked him, man. Yo, is Kevin Spacey really a shitbag? Because I wanted him to say, I know he is. I just wanted to see if he'd admit it. Anyway. Jackson's cross-examination of McCabe became so heated with the prosecution witness repeatedly asking to see her prior grand jury statements that, as one juror told Vanity Fair, it felt like they should have been served drinks and appetizers. Wait, what? Hold on. Jackson's cross-examination of Jen McCabe became so heated with the prosecution witness repeatedly asking to see her prior grand jury statements that, as one juror told Vanity Fair, so Vanity Fair talked to jurors, interviewed jurors. This is very notable, okay? So Vanity Fair conducted their own investigation. They hired their own experts. They reached out to their own experts, at least, and they reached out to the jurors for interviews. And this juror told Vanity Fair that it felt like they should have been served cold drinks and appetizers. Okay. Supposedly, this is the most traumatic thing of your life, and you don't remember what you said. The juror adds, there were so many times I wanted to just yell out, can you shut up? Tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Dude, what were we doing when we were covering the trial, folks? What were we doing? What was I doing? I was yelling at this going, you're a fucking liar. Stop it. Stop it. I was yelling, dude. Everyone in the chat was like, what the fuck? And right now, remember I told you, I saw this jury. This jury was not buying this shit. And I'm telling you, they to hear them say that they were reacting in the same way that I felt like, I mean, I'm looking at their eyes, you know, when the video was inverted. I was in the courtroom for that day, and I'm looking at them when they saw Karen's car back into John O'Keefe's car for the first time. Dude, the reactions I saw were like, you know, so to me, that meant that like there's no way that they're looking at the McAlbert sitting up on that stand and fucking stonewalling and lying, how that doesn't look suspicious and how there's not any weight to the defense. And how you know that there's weight to this defense is the fact that the prosecution brought no case. They simply played defense against the defense. The entire pretrial was defense against the defense. The entire pretrial was pulling teeth just to get them to share discovery. Sound familiar with Turtleboy's case? That was happening. Oh, I just got a cash app from Joanne. Thank you so much, Joanne. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's God, this is such a breath of fresh air. Guys, I mean, tell me it's not. This is such a breath of fresh air because how long have we been sitting here? Because that's the power of gaslighting. It's always going to have some little effect. That's what makes gaslighting abusive. The factor in gaslighting that makes it an abuse tactic is the fact that there's no escaping its effects to some degree, because you're always going to question yourself. Anybody with any sense of any type of common sense and integrity is going to question themselves and go, wait a minute, is it just me or is this? Right? So this entire time watching all of these mainstream media outlets cover this and ignore things that we're looking at and going, what in the fuck is going on here? Just blatantly ignoring them. So for us to sit here and finally see a platform like Vanity Fair, tell the truth, and they're not even being opinionated. They're just stating the facts of the case. The issue with that is they're just reporting this case the way that it should have been reported every time, consistently in real time, every time there was a development. That should have happened in real time, and it never did. So what happens is that is going to make us go, those of us who have been watching the news our entire fucking lives, who have looked at the news and relied on the news to give us information on cases that we were very, very interested in the past. Because not only what happens is now you find yourself going, no, wait a second. Is it just me? I mean, it's on the news. You've got all these trolls on Twitter that are trying to convince you that you're crazy. That's the power of gaslighting, because no matter what, you're always, if you are a person of integrity, you're going to question yourself, at least for a moment. The issue is that what we've been going through is we've been gaslit consistently, constantly throughout this entire process, and then being resilient and going, no, fuck that. I'm not crazy. I know what the fuck I see, dude. Fuck that. I'm not fucking crazy. I know what the fuck I see. I got eyes. Fuck the news. Why they're not talking about it, I don't know. I know what I know, though, because I'm looking at these court documents. I'm looking at police statements. I'm listening to testimony. And out of all the witnesses, like maybe 10% of the entire fucking witness list was honest. 10% of the testimony was honest testimony of the whole trial. It's insane. I've never seen anything like that. So this feels like, fuck, that part of you that's been gaslit this whole fucking time. Because no matter what, you're going to question yourself. If you're a logical person, you're going to question yourself. If you're a humble person, you're going to question yourself. You're going to say, hey, maybe I'm biased. I'm real quick to point fingers at other people, call them biased. I'm seeing people calling me biased. You know what I mean? I have to ask myself, like, I'm sitting here and accusing this person of not trying to be self-aware, not making any effort to be self-aware. So therefore, I'm going to make sure I better not be a hypocrite, and I'm looking into myself. And so that is abusive, because you are constantly in a state of asking yourself and questioning your own, virtually your own sanity. Am I seeing this for what it is, or am I seeing this because I want to see it a certain way because there's something driving me to see it that way? And the Turtleboy haters, the ones who are spouting all this hatred towards Karen Reed, all of these people, they project worse than anybody I've ever seen. So through this projection, they gaslight, and then the news basically validates their gaslighting with their gaslighting. And so all of this time, we're sitting here and being made out to be like we're insane, constantly questioning ourselves, making sure we're not spreading misinformation. Because we're empathetic people, and because we want to make sure that we're not making crazy accusations at innocent people. But the more I look at the McAlberts, the less I think they're innocent. This is also a consistent process. The more I look at them, the less I think they're innocent. The more I think they're dirty fucks. Every single one of them that testified on that stand, all dirty fucks, at the very least a liar. Like, and then they've been protected this entire time. Not just by the law, but by the media. And when this happens, they get to go, oh, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist. Why aren't they talking about this stuff on the news? Blah, 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 blah. Dude, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's so crazy. Like, so this is very, very validating, and it feels nice. So I'm really grateful to Vanity Fair for doing this. Because what's funny is this is all just the facts of the case. It seems like it's biased towards Karen Reed, but it only seems that way because when you look at all of the facts of the case, you cannot deny the fact that Karen Reed is innocent, or at the very least that there's some dirty shit going on here to try to railroad her. There's no denying that when you look at all of the facts. And all Vanity Fair is doing is showing all the facts. So people are going to say, oh my God, you painted Karen into this great light, an alleged murderer. But it's like, well, what we did was we just stated all the facts of the case. If you are taking it like it's kind of hard to look at her as a murderer after that, well, that's because the facts of the case dictate that. That's it. So 32,709 texts. O'Keefe's death wasn't the first time Norfolk County law enforcement found themselves facing allegations of cover-up and corruption. Oh my God, I love this. In 2021, the death of Sandra Birchmore, a pregnant 23-year-old who had been found hanging in her apartment by the strap of her gym bag, was ruled a suicide. The following year, 3 Stoughton police officers, Robert Devine, Matthew Farwell, and William Farwell, the latter 2 are twin brothers, were found to have engaged in sexual relations with Birchmore after meeting her through their department's youth program. In June, a forensic pathologist hired by Birchmore's family determined her death was a homicide by strangulation. Get 'em! I love this shit. In August, federal prosecutors charged Matthew Farwell with murdering Birchmore to cover up a sexual relationship that began when she was underage and resulted in her pregnancy. When it became clear to Mr. Farwell that he could no longer control Sandra Birchmore, he allegedly silenced her permanently, said Joshua Levy, acting U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, shortly after Farwell's arrest. Farwell stands accused of staging her death to look like a suicide just hours before the officer's wife gave birth to their 3rd child. Farwell has pleaded not guilty. A 45-page affidavit outlines damning evidence that Massachusetts State Police apparently overlooked, like a new stroller in Birchmore's apartment and an appointment for a newborn photo shoot, both indicating her excitement about her baby. And while MSP said they had not found text between Birchmore and Farwell, the FBI found 32,709 between the two, as well as messages from Birchmore to her friends. About a week before her death, she texted one that Farwell had dropped by in an upbeat mood. He asked me if I'd give him a key and said that if I keep it a secret, he'll be around. Then he looked in my closet. I don't know why, haven't figured that out. Days later, she was found hanging from the closet door handle. Oh, there we go. Now I love this because I feel like they're bringing up Sandra Birchmore because they're going to tie in Michael Morrissey and they're going to tie in Josh Levy. They're going to tie this stuff in. I feel it. I hope so. And there is Turtleboy being acknowledged here by Vanity Fair. I love that. Yeah. All right. Before Reed's case reached national attention levels, it was a local curiosity, most obsessively covered by Carney, aka Turtleboy. The moniker refers to a statue of a boy riding a turtle, which has become a lewd inside joke in his hometown of Worcester. And it's an interest snowballed. Turtleboy cranked out more than 400 installments of his Canton cover-up serial and hundreds of live YouTube shows, earning him as much as $50,000 a month. As off the wall as Turtleboy is with some of his reporting techniques, I said, if there's anybody that's going to get this out there, it would be him. He answers to nobody. John Silveira, Reed's friend of 30 years, told me some of his reporting techniques were indeed off the wall or flat out aggressive. He confronted McCabe at her daughter's lacrosse game and asked her about the house log to dying cold search. He was asked to leave. He appeared at a Canton government meeting where Chris Albert is on the board holding a sign that read, "Chris Albert killed a man," in reference to the 1994 crash. When I believe in something, I don't just say, oh, here's the facts. I go out and I hold protests, Carney told me. So that's what he began doing. If you believe Reed is innocent, Turtleboy's in-your-face approach is catharsis in the face of brazen corruption. If you believe Reed's guilty, Turtleboy is an abhorrent opportunist. Outside the Dedham courthouse in August before a Reed hearing, a woman in a blue Justice for JJ shirt tells me Turtleboy is a despicable human being because of what he has done. Pointing a pink-clad Free Karen Reed supporters, she says, and these are all his followers. When the blue shirts are chanting Justice for JJ, the pink side joins in. A woman in pink peace sign earring tells me they don't understand that we want justice for JJ too. I love that. 6 months into his coverage, Carney was arrested and charged with witness intimidation. Before the Commonwealth served him a second helping of charges, Carney served 60 days in jail after his bail was revoked because of an assault charge that, according to the Boston Herald, has since been dropped. Carney maintains his innocence. As part of its case against Turtleboy, the Commonwealth revealed that Carney and Reed logged 189 phone calls. Karen's the subject of my reporting, and I spoke to her, confirms Carney. That's traditionally known as journalism. In connection with Carney's case, Morrissey convened a grand jury in March, a month before Reed's trial began, to try to have Reed indicted on charges of conspiracy to commit witness intimidation. The jury did not vote to charge. Had the DA been successful, Reed's bail would have been revoked and she would have gone to jail. Morrissey declined to respond to Vanity Fair's questions. Oh, big shocker there. Turtle writers, what Carney calls his readers, send him tips. One noticed McCabe's car, easily identifiable with a vanity license plate, parked outside Proctor's house and snapped a photo. McCabe testified that Proctor was not home and she was there to talk to Proctor's wife about the vicious harassment that they received related to the case. Supporters raised $5,000 to put up a Free Karen Reed billboard across from Gillette Stadium. The billboard owner believes so much in Reed's innocence that he's left it up for over a year without additional payment. Wow. I did not know that. That's amazing. In August 2023, Morrissey, whose office is in Canton, issued a video statement. The DA condemned the harassment of the families involved in the case and declared that Proctor has no close enough personal relationship with any of the parties involved in this investigation. He dismissed the defense's claims as a false narrative and conspiracy theories that are completely contrary to the evidence and a desperate attempt to reassign guilt. Never have I seen such unethical conduct from a prosecutor. Oh, my bad. I was doing Yannetti, but okay, my bad. Never have I seen such unethical conduct from a prosecutor, Yannetti said in court, arguing for Cannone to disqualify Morrissey's office from this case. She rejected the motion. Reed housed Yannetti, Jackson Little, and herself in the same hotel throughout the trial so they could maximize preparation time. She paid $1.2 million leading up to and during the 9-week court proceedings between bails, accommodating feeding and transporting 3 lawyers and hiring private investigators and experts. For that, she used her savings, about $500,000 from her since depleted legal fund and $400,000 donated by friends and family. She now has more than $5 million in deferred legal bills and a second trial looming. And guys, I don't have it pinned up to, let me just do that real quick. Okay, so I have Karen Reed's. If you guys feel generous and you want to help Karen out, because it's a lot of money, and we know she's innocent, so the link to support Karen's defense fund is pinned at the top of the chat. The first one was trial on a budget, according to Reed. Since she couldn't afford to fly out support staff from Jackson and Little's firm, Reed became the support staff herself. She negotiated rates with 2 Uber drivers to shuttle the team to and from court. I love that. Very smart. Reed is aware her team has been photographed existing discounted SUVs and surrounded by volunteer security and dining out, the bill often picked up by friends or family members. As for criticism that her team occasionally enjoys upscale restaurants, she says, "You try feeding Alan Jackson McDonald's." We don't typically work that closely with clients, says Little, who became partner during trial due to her long hours. But this case, we needed every hand on deck. Lock this whack job up. About 10 months after O'Keefe's death, the Office of the U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts impaneled a federal grand jury as part of an investigation into an unspecified federal crime related to Norfolk County's handling of Reed's case. The impetus is unknown. Levy will not comment on active investigations, and nearly 2 years into the probe, his team has not yet reached a conclusion. When the FBI steps in, that's usually an indication that they are in possession of some information that is extremely damaging to the law enforcement agencies involved, says Tom Nolan, a 27-year Boston police officer turned criminal justice professor at Emmanuel College, who is not involved in Reed's case. Last year, the Alberts, McCabe's, and other witnesses were subpoenaed to testify before the federal grand jury, according to state court proceedings. It is incredibly logistically complicated to pursue a federal investigation into an active state murder investigation, in part because 2 agencies are interviewing the same witnesses simultaneously. Zach Hafer, a former federal prosecutor and Cooley LLP partner, tells me, "I can't think of a time in my 14 years in the U.S. Attorney's Office where that happened. Presumably, it's some type of federal obstruction or witness tampering investigation, a cover-up of some sort." Wow. And these types, okay, so that's interesting. Hold on. Let me read that one more time. Right. So they're saying that it's incredibly logistically complicated to pursue a federal investigation into an active state murder investigation, in part because two agencies are interviewing the same witnesses simultaneously. So, this has never happened where this guy is saying in 14 years of working at the U.S. Attorney's Office, they've never done that. So there's obviously, that's very telling right there. There's obviously something that is highly on Josh Levy's radar, and he is investigating it deeply. Clearly, this is happening. This is happening right now. This is a big deal. This is a big part of this article here, because they're stating that this person who worked for the U.S. Attorney's Office for 14 years is saying, I've never seen that shit before. So, and it led into it saying that unless there was some really interesting investigatable information and information that they got that they couldn't ignore, they needed to investigate. And for that to lead them to a point to where they are investigating an open murder investigation. They're investigating the investigation of a murder, and that investigation is still open. That's never happened in Massachusetts U.S. Attorney's Office in the last 14 years. So that's insane. So you have to take these things into consideration for all of you guys that are saying, because that what that does is that puts things into perspective for me, because there's a lot of people that are going, well, oh man, you know, like, why? I don't understand why the feds don't just step in. I don't understand what's taking so long, so on and so forth, right? Well, the thing is that right there tells you they are doing this very, very carefully, because this is uncharted waters for them. They've never had to do this. They've never had to interview the same witnesses at the same time as interviewing as the police who they're investigating these witnesses. They're interviewing these witnesses. So it's just very I can't imagine what that entails and what kind of strategy that would entail. So that's where I'm at now, is I'm just simply going to look at this being something that they've never done before, but they're doing it. You know what I mean? They're doing it. They're getting it done. But you have to take into consideration that this is something that they've never done before. So, and again, and that's also telling, because I'm sitting here and I mean, I wish I had $1 for every single time that I said, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. Right? I've said that so many times. So imagine what the people in the U.S. Attorney's Office are saying. They're dealing with this situation that they've never dealt with before. So if they're dealing with a situation that they've never dealt with before, they're sitting there going, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life. You know what I mean? So take that into consideration when you are losing patience with Josh Levy in the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI. Please take that into consideration. Take into consideration that this is something that you've never seen before in your fucking life. So there's no practical theory of solution here that you should. I don't know what it takes. I'm not a federal agent. I don't know what it takes. I don't work for the U.S. Attorney's Office. I don't know what it takes to prosecute someone federally, a corrupt district attorney. I have no idea what that takes. So having said that, I'm not going to be one of those people that are so quick to be like, what the hell's taking so long? This shouldn't take so long, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what the fuck. You have no idea why it should take so long and why it shouldn't take so long, unless you are fucking Sean McDonough. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the only person that I want to hear from when it comes to how long these federal investigations could take. It's the only person I want to hear from. Sean McDonough. Nobody else. Not one other person. Or an attorney who has worked federal cases. But, I mean, prosecuted a district attorney? For corruption? I mean, has anybody done that? Right. So, respectfully, shut the fuck up. I'm just going to give those people that credit. I don't know what the hell that needs to be done, but they're the experts. They're the professionals. I'm just going to sit back and patiently let them do what they do. Because I do believe justice is coming. In these types of cases, it is common for prosecutors to grant certain witnesses immunity to help them determine what happened and whether there is a provable federal crime. The U.S. Attorney's Office has always prioritized the prosecution of law enforcement misconduct, says Hafer, pointing out that making false statements to a federal agent is a felony carrying a 5-year sentence. So even if an individual wasn't guilty of the underlying offenses here murder, lying about it after the fact to federal investigators is another potential charge. That means a lot of people are going to jail, man. That means a lot of people are going to jail. That means that there's a time bomb, folks. There's a time bomb. That's what that tells me. In simplest terms, like my being a layman and not having any law experience and not having any law enforcement experience, being a layman, I have no idea. But what it sure as shit sounds like is that's a time bomb. That's a time bomb because that means that I'm thinking already off the top of my head of at least 5 people that testified at this trial who are subject to 5 years in prison. So when I say that's a time bomb, that means that when shit's going to get tight, when they need to, they're just going to start squeezing people to talk. Somebody's going to rat. One of those McAlbert fucking cheese-eating fucks is going to rat. Anybody want to take a guess who it's going to be? I'm curious. Who's it going to be? Type in the chat who you think it is. Not an Albert. Not an Albert. Excluding Higgins. I don't think it'll be Higgins. I'm gonna go with either Julie Nagel or Matt McCabe. That's who I'm thinking. One of these fucks is gonna rat. That's who I'm feeling. I don't think it's gonna be an Albert. It's gonna and I don't. Yeah. I think it's definitely, yeah. I feel like Matt is, because the thing is Matt doesn't get any respect. Matt gets no respect in that group of people. I guarantee it. Oh, I want to cooperate with you guys as much as I fucking can, I just want to help. I just want to help. Much as I can. Anything I can do to help, guys. Oh, but I don't want to snitch on anybody. And I love my wife, but I can just totally see his weaselly ass doing that shit. I don't think any cops are gonna I don't know. I think it's just an interesting thing. Like somebody's gonna rat. Somebody's gonna fucking grass. Somebody's gonna fucking grass. And I'm just thinking of the most spineless fucks that I saw sitting on that stand. Yeah, there's a lot of different. I mean, there's a lot of different opinions in the chat. That's why I love this chat. That's why I love this chat. Kerry Roberts and Matt McCabe are the weakest links. That's true too. Kerry Roberts. Yeah. Good point. I didn't do nothing because she's only driven by her jealousy and hatred for Karen Reed. It's the only reason she's doing anything. It's the only reason she's sitting up there lying for people is because she's jealous of Karen Reed. I know, dude. I know catty bitches when I see them, dude. Okay, listen, hear me out. Hear me out. Catty bitches have this little weird passive aggressive thing that they do. There are a lot of weird little passive aggressive things that they do. And when she was sitting on that stand and referring to all of John's exes by their professions and not their names, I was like, I see you, little I hate Karen Reed because she's pretty and I don't get to be her. I see you. That was Kerry Roberts to me the entire time she was testifying on that stand. Oh, and then he dated the dancer. The dancer. Like, you know, she's got a name, right? Why she got to be the dancer? You know? Like, why are you hating right now? This is not the time to hate, you know? So yeah. If that being the only thing that's driving her is just some you know, hatred for Karen Reed, some jealousy of Karen Reed, then yeah, she's definitely going to talk with the right interrogator. She'll definitely talk with the right person interviewing her. She'll definitely talk. So right now, I would love to be a fly on the wall in Jen McCabe's living room. I would love to be a fly on the wall in Jen McCabe's living room. Because everybody's in a panic right now. Like today, everyone's taking a shit. Because after I'm done reading this article, which we have a long way to go, by the way, I might open up phone lines, but I'm going to check out, I'm going to go over Twitter a little bit and just see some of the posts that are on Twitter. In these types of cases, it is common for prosecutors. Now, hold on. I want to repeat that last line here. I can't think of a time in my 14 years in the U.S. Attorney's Office where that happened. Presumably, it's some type of federal obstruction or witness tampering investigation, a cover-up of some sort. Now, that's interesting. It's interesting that he's specifying that it's probably a cover-up of some sort. And he specified witness tampering. Reason why I wanted to go over that again was because if you remember the press conference that Josh Levy held after the arrest of Matthew Farwell, they really emphasized on that. And I can't make a lot out of it right now, but I'm saying keep it in the mental notebook right there. Jot it down. That witness tampering. They really focused on that. They really focused on Matthew Farwell and arresting him for not only killing Sandra Birchmore, but killing her for the purposes of her not testifying. And so this was emphasized a lot in that press conference. And so now that they're saying that there's this person who's not even affiliated with the Kara Reed case, they're saying, well, it tells me that there's probably some sort of witness tampering or cover up going on here. So I'm just saying, make a mental note, because I wonder what they're going to catch somebody on here. What are they focused on in this investigation? What's Josh Levy focused on? In these types of cases, it is common for prosecutors to grant certain witnesses immunity to help them determine what happened and whether there is a provable federal crime. The U.S. Attorney's Office has always prioritized the prosecution of law enforcement misconduct, says Hafer, pointing out that making false statements to a federal agent is a felony carrying a 5-year sentence. So even if an individual wasn't guilty of the underlying offense, here murder. Oh, I already read that. Sorry. Lying about it after the fact to federal investigators is another potential charge. Shortly before the trial began, the feds provided more than 3,000 pages of findings to the defense and prosecution, including Proctor's texts about Reed, a sampling, and trigger warning for some of you folks here. She's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass. She's got a leaky balloon knot, leaks poo, waiting to lock this whack job up. Hopefully she kills herself. A federal investigation found that Brian Albert destroyed his cell phone the day before receiving a protection order to preserve it and its contents. Albert said that the timing was a coincidence and he was due for an upgrade. Also, that on January 30th, Higgins, the ATF agent who'd been at the Alberts, asked another federal agent for advice on extracting phone data. Months later, he drove to a military base to dispose of his destroyed phone and SIM card. Higgins testified that the target of a different investigation had found his contact information. The feds also determined that Higgins went to the Canton police station where he worked from after leaving the Albert home, though he was off duty and had been drinking. He says he was reshuffling cars. He spent much of the following day, a Saturday, when he was still off duty, there, passing through the garbage where Reed's car was eventually kept. Or the garage where Reed's car was eventually kept. Until about 6 p.m., the federal investigation found a 22-second call between Albert and Higgins at 2:22 a.m., 5 minutes before McCabe's alleged house logged to die in cold search. The men said that both the dialing and pickup of those calls were butt dials. Though the federal findings were disclosed, Morrissey appealed to Cannone days before the trial began to prohibit mention of the federal investigation in court, arguing that it would be prejudicial. Cannone approved the request, meaning Reed's lawyers could not so much as utter the letters FBI before the jury. When questioning forensic reconstructionists hired by the Department of Justice, for example, the most Jackson could say, we're talking about the Crash Daddy experts, the most that Jackson could say was that they were hired by an independent agency. Several jurors reportedly took that to mean they worked for an insurance company. Morrissey attempted to have the federal investigation transferred out of Massachusetts, arguing that the U.S. attorney in office when the probe began had been biased against him. He was unsuccessful. In a letter dated August 2023, the U.S. Attorney's Office and Morrissey's the U.S. Attorney's Office told Morrissey that Levy has a very different opinion of the circumstances in this case than as presented in Mr. Morrissey's letter, and that the U.S. government believes it is essential to continue their investigation, given the information of which they are aware. Levy's office would not confirm or deny the investigation to Vanity Fair. The Dedham Courthouse is a 19th century Greek revival building that was the setting for what the New York Times described as one of the blackest pages in the American national story. In 1921, Italian Americans Nicola Sacco and Bartolomeo Yanzetti were wrongfully convicted of robbery and murder before being executed in 1927, in spite of international protest and overwhelming evidence of their innocence. 50 years after their deaths, Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis absolved them, declaring any stigma and disgrace should be forever removed from the names. Reed faces her fate in the same building. Wow, that's crazy. Now think about that for a second. This is back in 1921, and it says here, international protests, overwhelming evidence of their innocence and international protests in 1921. There wasn't even television back then. I don't even think there was radio. Think about that. international protests. The whole world knew of this trial, of this person being wrongfully convicted, and the whole world stood out and stood up for these innocent men, these innocent Italian American men. And they were tried, convicted, and sentenced to death in that same courthouse, and then eventually executed. Insane. The wildest moment during an already wild trial involved security video from inside the Canton PD garage during the crucial time between Reed's SUV arriving and the taillight being found at Fairview. With Massachusetts State Police Sergeant Yuri Buchanan, Proctor's supervisor, on the stand, the Commonwealth played video appearing to show that no one in the station went near the taillight in contention. The right one. The video showed the person Buchanan ID'd as Proctor behind the left taillight. Though Reed and her lawyers say they hadn't seen the video beforehand and it hadn't been entered during discovery. But they realized during the testimony that the spelling of police on a cruiser also parked in the garage was in reverse, meaning that what looked like the right taillight was actually the left. The timestamp was not inverted, which Jackson said means somebody had to put that on the inverted, the manipulated, the altered video on purpose. During Buchanan's cross-examination, he admitted that the video was inverted, meaning that the person Buchanan previously testified was Proctor had actually been behind the red taillight. And I like how Vanity Fair just kind of moved on with that. I love how they were like, there's no need to get petty here. The thing is I'm a petty motherfucker, right? So I'm going to be petty here because it was really funny. They're just keeping it simple to keep things moving along here in the article. And they're saying that he admitted that the video was inverted. And that's just the short way of summarizing what actually happened on the stand while he was on the stand, which was a back and forth where Jackson was saying, so it was inverted. And then he's saying, no, it wasn't inverted. It was reversed. Not inverted, though. It was reversed. But I mean, and there was this ridiculous semantic bullshit word game argument going on. It was mirrored. Yeah, mirrored. So it's not inverted. It was mirrored. So, and then Jackson had to sit there and be like, if I take a fucking mirror and then I have this sign behind it, is it going to be fucking inverted or is it going to be, I mean, what's the fucking difference? So I love how Vanity Fair was just like, yeah, he admitted to it. By saying that it was mirrored, he admitted to it. It's just great. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? One of the jurors tells Vanity Fair. That was like, holy shit. They did do this on purpose. This wasn't an accident where they didn't know it was inverted. I couldn't believe that a Massachusetts State Police sergeant was defending this in open court. Buchanan testified that he did not know how the video came to be inverted. Now, that's very interesting. So this is a juror being quoted here. Now, I love this because, as many of you already know, this was the second day that I was in the courtroom when this happened. When Buchanan was on the stand and Jackson cross-examined him. It was, I got to be in the courtroom for that, and I got to look at the jury. And as soon as that happened, and I've told this story a few times, but for those of you who don't know, as soon as that was done, Yannetti comes up to both me and Brian LTL only because we were just the first people in his path, and he was just so excited he wanted to say whatever he was saying. But not because, we're who we are. We happened to be in his path and he was just so excited. And he comes right up to us right after the jury saw this and it was exposed that this was an inverted video. Yannetti comes up to us and says, "This is awesome. Now the jury knows that the prosecution is trying to deceive them and not us. This is great. And we were like, yeah, hell yeah. And this right here confirms that that's exactly what happened. This little segment of this article confirms that that's exactly what happened, where David Yannetti, exactly what he thought the jury was going to react, absolutely did. So this juror that's being interviewed by Vanity Fair, their reaction to it was, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Holy shit, they did that on purpose. This wasn't just an accident where they didn't know it was inverted. I couldn't believe that the Massachusetts State Police Sergeant was defending this in open court. At certain points in the trial, Reed's team believed 3 specific jurors displayed visible disgust at certain prosecution side actions, such as Proctor's offensive texts about Reed. The day of closing arguments, according to Carney, one of those jurors was dismissed after a Massachusetts State police officer who had been in one of the text chains with Proctor and who was in charge of the jury, accused a juror of speaking about the trial at a bar weeks earlier. Okay, this is interesting. All right, so the day of closing arguments, according to Carney, okay, so it's according to Turtleboy, one of those jurors was dismissed after a Massachusetts State police officer who had been in one of the text chains, and he was in charge of the jury. So again, as much, and I believe Turtleboy, I have no reason to doubt Turtleboy. I trust his sources, and I trust when he states something is fact, he usually brings receipts. The problem is that, you know, when it comes to the jury, his hands are tied. He can't really bring receipts because of, you know, anonymity reasons. So the jury, I've only heard from Turtleboy that this juror or this state trooper who was involved in the text thread with Proctor was actually in charge of the jury and had this one juror dismissed. And that would have been a straight up acquittal if that person, she was so vocal. I mean, she was visibly reacting. I saw her with my own eyes, and she was visibly reacting to these things that were happening in that courtroom, because you can't fucking ignore them. Like, they're insane. In Massachusetts, alternate jurors are selected at the end of trial, not the beginning. So of 14 potential jurors, 2 were removed after closing arguments. On the same day, the clerk magistrate pulled 2 tiles from a rotating box, bingo style. The magistrate did not show the numbers, but said they belonged to the other 2 potentially sympathetic jurors. The chances of that happening are next to nil, says Jackson, referring to all 3 seemingly sympathetic jurors being removed from the deliberating pool. Huh. Within days of Cannone's mistrial ruling, Reed's lawyers began hearing about jurors who were disturbed by the outcome. 4 of them contacted the defense directly. Also, the day of closing arguments, Albert and McCabe appeared in the courtroom's small gallery directly facing the jurors. One juror says he or she felt intimidated by their presence, calling it completely and utterly inappropriate. They were substantial focal points of the trial. I can't believe they were allowed in to stare the jury down. A spokesperson for Brian Albert says that the O'Keefe family asked the client to attend. Reed, her lawyers, and her family spent 5 days on verdict watch in a church rectory near the courthouse. Reed was called back into court on day 2 for what turned out to be a question, but thinking it might be the verdict. She realized how unprepared she was. Could I be in a jail cell in 20 minutes? My first thought is I need to use the bathroom because I don't know when I'm going to have a private bathroom again. I couldn't find my brother. I'm like, what if I can't hug Nathan? She says. At the end of the day, when the judge dismissed everyone, Reed broke down. Her head hurt so badly that she wondered if she had been if she had even been breathing. Then she began bargaining with God. I'll take a mistrial. You can keep me in limbo for 10 more years. Just please let me go home tonight. On July 1st, Cannone read the jury's note aloud, which stated that they were at an impasse. In the very next breath, Cannone declared a mistrial. It was over like a guillotine drop, says Jackson, adding that Reed's legal team was given no information before that. Some wondered why her defense team didn't object. The judge has one primary responsibility in the trial, and that is to charge the jury correctly. When the jury comes back and says, we're at an impasse, you have an additional responsibility to say an impasse on what? There are 3 counts here. I love when lawyers validate my shit. That's what I've been saying this whole time. It's all on Cannone. She totally did this shit. Within days, Reed's lawyers heard about 5 jurors who were disturbed by the outcome, 4 of whom contacted. And you know what I love about this is the gloves are totally fucking off. The underlying message here is you got to think. I mean, this is very public. So many people are reading this. And Jackson was just quoted in Vanity Fair saying it was on Judge Beverly Cannone. It was absolutely her fucking fault. She had a responsibility to charge this jury with making sure that they are specific on what charges that they're in an impasse on. That's it. So now the gloves are off, right? What's up, Microdots? Y'all make sure to sub to Microdots. You guys want some real truth? Sub to Microdots. Now the gloves are off. Now, when we see Jackson going head to head with Judge Beverly Cannone, and we've seen Judge Beverly Cannone and how visceral she already is, this is going to get personal. This trial, this second trial, is going to be a shit show. It's going to be a clown show. That's what's going to happen. Because Judge Beverly Cannone is going to take passive-aggressive jab after passive-aggressive jab towards this defense. Like right now, everyone's in kamikaze mode. You know how I know that everyone's in kamikaze mode? Because the prosecution has no case. And so what the prosecution did, what Michael Morrissey did, was hired a showman. He hired an attraction to prosecute this case. He didn't hire a lawyer to prosecute this case, even though he is a lawyer. But he didn't hire a lawyer. He didn't hire a prosecutor for this case. He hired an attraction. That's how I know this is a shit show. That's how I know that they have no case. That's how I know that when this goes to a second trial, it's going to be nothing but absolute and utter bullshit. And it's going to be more smoke and mirrors coming from the prosecution, and the defense is going to continue their exculpatory, their third party culprit defense. I mean, because now there's no pussyfooting around anymore. Like, Judge Beverly Cannone knows exactly what the defense thinks of her. She knows exactly what the defense thinks of her. And they believe her to be fucking dirty. Guaranteed. Now, they haven't said it, but they're calling out every dirty thing she does. Right? I mean, that's what it boils down to. Within days, Reed's lawyers heard about 5 jurors who were disturbed by the outcome, 4 of whom contacted the defense directly. The jurors stated that the jury had agreed unanimously to acquit Reed on the murder and leaving the scene charges. It was the manslaughter charge that the group was split on. In an interview with Turtleboy, a sixth juror alleged that 2 jurors wanted to contact Cannone during deliberations, all alerting her that they were unanimous on counts 1 and 3. The juror claimed the foreman, the only person who can contact the judge and who is selected by the judge, said they needed to be unanimous on all counts. We believe that he knew what he was talking about. The juror told Carney in an interview, I don't know if it would have changed things if I had asked the question about consensus on 2 of the counts. In an August hearing, Reed's appellate attorney, Martin Weinberg, implored Cannone to bring the jurors back and poll them on their votes on the 2 disputed charges, arguing that trying Karen Reed again for second-degree murder would constitute double jeopardy. After Cannone denied the motion, Reed and her lawyers took the appeal to the Supreme Judicial Court. A hearing is scheduled for November 6th. The trial court had a clear path to avoid an erroneous mistrial. Read ACLUM's amicus brief. Simply asked the jurors to confirm whether a verdict had been reached on any count. Daniel McFadden, ACLUM's managing attorney, said the organization filed this brief to highlight serious constitutional concerns about the trial court's process. One of Reed's few breaking points occurred when Jackson was arguing with the judge over the verdict slip, which offered jurors 3 guilty options versus 1 not guilty option. Cannone said that this is how all verdict slips look in Massachusetts, noting that Yannetti had certainly seen them. Yannetti said, no, actually, Your Honor, I hadn't. I disagree with you, Cannone replied. When Reed smirked at what she viewed as another slight, Cannone scolded her. Is this funny, Miss Reed? The scolding made headlines with photos of Reed's smile underneath, but without full context. She also has a recurring nightmare that O'Keefe survived whatever happened to him on January 29th, but can't recall what that was. Reed is trying to get him to remember what unfolded after he got out of her car, but there are 2 people in the dream, Peg and Paul O'Keefe, and they are telling O'Keefe that Reed tried to kill him. The dream haunts her as much as the reality that O'Keefe's family, who did not really know the McCabe's and Alberts before O'Keefe's death, has sided with the Canton families. Reed brings up the quote, it's easier to fool someone than convince them that they've been fooled. Good point. Reed believes this captures the O'Keefes. She says Peg never fully embraced her when O'Keefe was alive, perhaps because of the difficulty of seeing another woman help raise her daughter's children. Reed thinks back to the morning of January 29th, that when Peg seemed to blame her immediately, but the O'Keefes did not seem to hold it against Albert, and he never emerged from the house as emergency workers tried to save their son. That doesn't bother you in any way, but in an instant, you believe that I somehow flopped out and committed my first crime. Reed says to me, and here she begins a blow-by-blow rebuttal to the O'Keefe's family criticisms. So Paul and Peg, if you think I killed John, that means you misjudged me for 2 years and entrusted 2 young family members in my care. Then in the blink of an eye, you think I'm a cold-blooded killer who took away your son. I mean, yeah, that doesn't make sense. After the trial, Paul gave an interview with WBZ TV. We know that Johnny and Karen were arguing, and it was kind of towards the end of their relationship. They were drinking and arguing and fighting, and in an intoxicated state of rage and jealousy, she just decided that she was going to do something about it. Paul said he was convinced of Reed's guilt the morning of his brother's death when Reed told his wife, Erin, that she needed to remember the bad times. Reed confirms she said that was my processing, me trying to think of reasons not to mourn or miss John, which makes perfect sense. I am capable of meeting other people. What do you think? I don't want anybody else to have him. He's got to be dead. I can't handle this fight we just had, she says, firing off her rebuttals as though her antagonists are in the home with us. And then I'm going to murder him on the front lawn of the most powerful guy in town, who's an acting police officer. We argued, Reed admits, but Was I abusive? Was I neglectful? Did I mistreat him emotionally or in any way? Or did we have ups and downs? And I helped him tend to the kids, and we went on vacations and to sporting events and school and breakfast and haircuts. In the same interview, Paul said he's bothered that O'Keefe's death is being overshadowed by what he called the Karen Reed show. The O'Keefes declined to answer questions from Vanity Fair, but sent a statement declaring that the family believes she is liable for John O'Keefe's death. Unlike most people accused of murder and sued for wrongful death, Karen Reed has embraced her celebrity in outsized ways. After noting her media appearances and the fact that she did not testify at her first trial, the statement concluded thus: this intensive media campaign to influence potential jurors compounds the O'Keefe family terrible loss while delaying and denying her accountability. Jesus. Reed has a response to claims she's embracing the spotlight. Anyone in my position who's being falsely accused would be shouting from the rooftops. First of all, I don't want to be here. It can be the John O'Keefe show. It could be the O'Keefe family reunion, she says. But if you think for a second that anyone has fought harder to find the truth about what happened to John and to enlighten everyone about what happened to John harder than me, you're wrong. I love that. I mean, people, I've been saying this. I've been saying this. He is actively actually doing anything to get John O'Keefe justice. I mean, in courtrooms. Now, not including what Turtleboy's going through. Turtleboy, he counts. Okay. I mean, in the sense of actually getting things on record. Now, Turtleboy actually counts more now that we know the stuff about based on what the Bettero letters say. Because before, Turtleboy was just doing his job and he was informing us, and he was actively informing us on progress in the case. But Karen Reed is being accused of murder, and she is coming up. She is fighting for her life with a third-party culprit defense. That meaning that in this third-party culprit defense, she's trying to prove who did it. Not just that I didn't do it, but I didn't just not do this. That person did. Or one of these fuckers did. And she doesn't have to do that because the case against her is so weak that it's a guaranteed slam dunk acquittal if she just focused on poking holes in the prosecution's case, because there's no case. The whole case is reasonable doubt. The entire fucking case is reasonable doubt. So it's real easy for Karen Reed's defense to go, you know what? I mean, this is the easy way to go. Just destroy their case because they don't have one. They didn't log any evidence. Look at the way they collected the evidence. They didn't preserve any evidence. I mean, you've got Proctor doing what he did. I mean, the whole case is a shit show. The investigation itself is a shit show. Very easy to destroy. But she's not doing that. She's going the extra mile and saying, not only did I not do this, but the people responsible are sitting here lining up to testify against me and say that I did. And I can prove that one of them fucking did it. I don't know who, but one of them fucking did it. And the super chats and stuff, guys, I appreciate them. I want to continue going through this, but I'm going to go over them as soon as I'm done here. So I'm going to do them all in one shot. So don't think that I'm not acknowledging them and I don't see them. I just want to keep things moving along. Paul stationed himself feet away from Reed in court, glaring at her through the trial. Hey, did that bother her? You can't have no respect for someone and care what they think. I didn't do anything. So you stare at me and get an ulcer over your hatred towards me, she says. The O'Keefes never carried a pitchfork for me until I started getting support. You didn't speak to any media. You're now giving interviews. You really just can't stand my rising from the ashes. The only thing that changed is I started to come from a position of power, which is absolutely true. I mean, one could argue that it's an arrogant fucking thing to say, right? Like her trolls and haters are going to be all over Twitter and saying, "Oh my God, you listen to her, how listen to the venom in what she's saying." Well, here's my take on that: is hasn't she earned it? And it's not venomous. She's saying, dude, if you want to get an ulcer over sitting there and staring at me, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to stress yourself out and fucking hate me, that's on you, dude. Doesn't bother me one fucking bit. All I know is that you didn't give a shit and you weren't out to lynch me in front of the town folk until the town folk started backing me up. So I mean, that's just telling it like it is. And has she not earned the right to tell it like it is? Has she not earned the right? I mean, look at this. Look at the things that these people are doing, dude. Look at what the O'Keefes are doing. Paul O'Keefe is suing her. Paul O'Keefe is suing the bar that served her drinks. Paul O'Keefe is doing interviews and trying to rally up a counter group of people against Karen Reed supporters. He sat there talking to Christina Rex from Boston 10 and basically called for an army. So get the fuck out of my face with this shit. In August, O'Keefe's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Reed, the Waterfall, and C.F. McCarthy's. The latter two being bars the family allege overserved Reed in the hours before O'Keefe's death, seeking at least $50,000 in damages for conscious pain and suffering and profound emotional distress. The Waterfall and C.F. McCarthy's have denied the allegations. Reed denies. Okay, now let me get into that real quick. Let me finish this paragraph, though. Reed denies that she was overserved. Every witness at the trial testified to Reed not appearing drunk and has sought to delay the civil suit until after her criminal trial. They would have done this 3 years ago if this was about John, she says. Only when I walked out of that courthouse a free woman did they seemingly put the wheels in motion to sue me. Okay, now this is important to remember because we're talking about $50,000 in damages. That's peanuts that they're looking for the wrongful death of a loved one. You're seeking $50,000. You know why they're doing that? Because they're not interested in the money. What they're interested in is this has got the Commonwealth written all over it. What they're interested in is getting her in a deposition where she goes on record. And anything that she says on record in that deposition, they want to be able to use against her in this second trial. That's it. There's no, all of you guys, and respectfully, I get it. I get people being like, oh, the O'Keefes are just after money because Occam's razor dictates that, right? The simplest answer is usually the correct one, right? So, yeah, that makes sense. Sure. But no, not in this case. Not in this case. In this case, there's a strategy behind it. Because again, as she stated before, if this was about John, she would have done this. They would have done this a long time ago. So this is all about getting her to testify without getting her to testify. They want testimony of hers on the record that they can use against her in trial. That is all this is about. So basically, the Commonwealth is puppeteering the O'Keefe family to file a lawsuit against Karen Reed, the Waterfall Bar and Grill, and C.F. McCarthy's in order to get shit they can use. Now, that might be legal, but it's fucking dirty. O'Keefe's father is the family member whose coldness hurts more. Reed and John Sr. used to go to Sunday Mass together, then take Patrick to breakfast. She shows me a Christmas card he gave her a month before O'Keefe's death. Dear Karen, my mother always told me if you want to tell someone how you feel, do it in a letter. So here goes. I finally figured out who you are. You are an angel sent from heaven, and thank you so much for all you do. You are the best of the best. Love forever, Papa. Angel in heaven appear in parentheses in the card. I don't think he wants any of this fighting and this war, says Reed. Nevertheless, we are at war. She wakes up some mornings to iPhone memories showing her past life with the kids. The images used to hurt. Now they just make her mad. I don't blame her. They've been exploited and brought into a trial they had no business being in, Reed says. The hope for me is that one of them will really dig into the case one day and be ambitious enough to say, I need to see everything, says Reed. Or there'll be a federal indictment and my allegations will become even more validated. Reed has been criticized for not looking like a grieving girlfriend in the courtroom. I have mourned and cried over John O'Keefe, but that is not productive now, she says. I don't feel the acute sadness I did when I first lost him. She says, I don't feel the acute sadness I did when I first lost him. She realizes people may not understand this. If that sounds callous, I'm not going to apologize. We weren't married. The public is now hearing a lot for the first time, and they have to realize I've gone through 3 stages of grief. I've reached the point that, John, if you can hear me, I've done everything I can. I don't think your family can be saved. They want to see me incarcerated for the rest of my life, despite never seeing the evidence while you were alive that I mistreated you. We were dating for 2 years, and I've since eclipsed those 2 years. I'm going on 3, and I've got to save myself now. She's absolutely and totally entitled to those feelings, in my opinion. On another of my evenings with Reed, she and I joined her parents, Bill and Janet, her brother Nathan, and his friend Adam for dinner at one of the family's favorite Providence restaurants, Al Forno. Bill is earnest and analytical and plainly anguished. He grew up in government housing and works hard to give his family a good life. I've never had to worry about police. Now I look with a very skeptical eye on everything, he tells me. There were layers of accountability and should have remedied anything corrupt, he tells me. His daughter is just collateral damage. It sounds heartless, but it's true. Janet, a stylish woman whose father was a cop and who met Bill when they both worked at Bristol Community College, can be better compartmentalized. She is warm, bubbly, and half Italian. The meals mood, that's a perfect description of her too. The meals mood booster. She makes sure I've tried the squash blossoms and wants to know whether I've seen Masterpieces Endeavor. Though it's a show involving murder investigations, it's been a welcome escape to a different time, the 60s, place, the UK, the moral compass setting. Janet points out that the patrons around us have no idea what her family is going through. People cannot hear what we're saying. They see us and probably think they have a lovely life. They're just floating along. Reed couldn't share confidential information about the case with family, so her parents and brother had no preparation for some of the things that came up in trial, like Proctor's horrific texts. It's not easy, says Janet. I knew Karen was going to give me a look if I made even a breather of a sound, but I was frustrated. Bill says he appreciated that Cannone made Proctor read the entirety of the profane text about Reed rather than let him censor himself to jurors. When she forced him on that see you next Tuesday word, I wanted to go up and shake her hand. Now, yeah, before we get into Bill's statements there, I mean, yeah, when I sat in the courtroom, it was interesting. One of the coolest things to see, because like this is not being embellished, people. This is not some writer embellishing and making. I mean, this is them documenting their experience, and it's very similar to my experience with that family as well. I couldn't describe Janet better. And she was really, really fun and really, really kind and really, really sweet. And they absolutely, and sitting in the courtroom, it's funny to hear this and hear, Karen say something like, or Janet say something like, I know that Karen would have given me a look if I would have, made a noise or anything. But what's funny is when Buchanan was testifying, she kept looking back at us, but looking back at her mom, like, dude, like, are you, because Buchanan was talking about when they showed up to her parents' house to interview her. And they basically accused him straight up of lying, that he just sat up there and lied on the stand, straight up. Like, not even like, oh, he embellished this a little there. And then, no. He fucking lied. The guy lied. So, it's fascinating because this family, I'm sitting next to them, and there were times where he would say something and Janet would put her hand on my knee for a second and then just be like, oh, and not shake her head, but just, like she had to react to certain things because she knew this dude was fucking lying. He's sitting there lying under oath in front of a jury in a gallery full of people and in front of cameras that are broadcasting in front of the whole world. This dude is lying. And she's pissed off about it. It was wild, man. It was a wild experience. But it's just ironic because, she was worried about Karen giving her a look if she reacted, but Karen kept reacting and looking back at her parents. It got to a point to where Karen was just like in fuck it mode. She's like, I'm innocent of this shit. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like this is, you know what I mean? Like, I love that about her, is that she didn't put on this act. I've said this many times, where she didn't, do the typical defendant bullshit. Like where they make her wear glasses and she doesn't wear glasses. You know what I mean? Like, I always see that. They always make you wear glasses. Like I don't know why defense attorneys, high profile ones too, that are like, oh, you need to wear glasses. It's like, dude, there's never a picture of me wearing glasses ever, anywhere, ever. Like, people are going to see that as a tactic to try to sway the jury and soften them up. You know what I mean? It's just funny to me. So Karen just came off to me like she was just in fuck it mode. Like, you know what? Like, I don't care if how the jury sees me necessarily, in the sense that, like, these people are just sitting up here fucking lying about me. And I'm supposed to act like I don't care about it and I don't feel anything about it. Oh man, my coffee pot turned off. There we go. Keep that hot. Yeah, Jodi Arias too. Yeah, she did that shit. Right. And so Bill tells Vanity Fair it needs to end. Bill being Karen's dad. It needs to end. And it needs to end in a manner that puts some of these people behind bars. But Dad, if someone came up to you right now and said they're dropping these charges, there'll be no further indictments. You will never set foot in another courtroom again. You'd go to sleep with a smile on your face, says Reed. We don't need anybody to be indicted. And then he says, we'd love it, but we don't need it. He agrees. Just be free of my family. Reed has been criticized for smiling and waving to her supporters. A jarringly dissonant display, but she has no apologies. I implore any critic to get out of a car in the middle of a walking nightmare. See 200 people wearing your favorite color, telling you to keep your head up, to keep your spine strong, and you don't crack a smile. It has been a lot worse. I've been frog marched into court with shackles on my feet in clothes that I slept in a jail cell the night before in front of cameras to all negative headlines. And the only people in court were my parents and my brother. I cannot smile. I can't not smile. I just feel God's presence. I totally get that. Reed saw a Daily Mail headline calling her America's happiest murder defendant. If I look happy, did it cross your mind that I have a free conscience? Because I didn't do it. If being innocent and enjoying the support and refusing to be down day after day, month after month, year after year makes me America's happiest murder defendant, then I'm America's happiest murder defendant. Oh my God, dude. This lady pulls no punches. I love it. Like, she's totally forthcoming. Everybody's like, oh my God, that makes her guilty. No, it doesn't. It makes her like, fuck you. You already made up your mind about me. And I'm focused on the fight. Think what you want. It means shit to me what you think. Think what you want. On my final night with her, Reed plays DJ on Spotify and tells us about the temperature-controlled storage unit she's been paying for to house the carpeting torn out from the Albert's home after they sold it last year. See, I didn't know about this. She hopes that one day she'll have the money to swab it for blood and DNA. The Olympics are on TV, but nobody's paying attention. Did you buy that TV in 1992? Jokes the security guard. Actually, John hung this. So I got it early 2020. He was very good about doing projects and he was handy, says Reed. I asked if she gets sentimental about stuff that he brought in or that he bought or did in the house. I was at the beginning, Reed says, but when a significant other dies, he's gone and there's no choice. You've got to pick up and move on. A friend recently asked Reed if she's dated since O'Keefe died. I've had a couple of connections, but I haven't been in a relationship, she told a friend. She told the friend who expressed surprise, which annoyed her. I didn't do anything wrong. Reed's feelings for O'Keefe have become more complicated the longer her legal saga stretches on. She was heartbroken, but now feels trapped in a wretched afterlife in their relationship. I feel that everything in the 2 years I dated John was a precursor to this horrible decision of us to go out drinking, and for John to think he was welcome with these people who never really acted welcoming to him before. She tells me by phone, each witness I see come into court, each cop, each Albert, the girls from Aruba, it's like this all came into my life by way of John. Everyone was a drinking buddy and everyone testified as much. Alcohol's at the epicenter of this, and it was in my relationship with him. In hindsight, it was in my relationship with him. In hindsight, everything was just a precursor to this fateful, tragic night in this life, and to a much lesser degree, mine. Reed does not drink as much as she did with O'Keefe, and was initially reluctant to order the occasional alcoholic beverage at the restaurant, worried that people would judge her. She has since stopped caring what strangers think. You're allowed a cocktail if you're being framed for murder. Facts. That's the quote of the year right there. You're allowed a cocktail if you're being framed for murder. There you go. I completely agree, Karen. Cheers. Every morning she Googles herself. She clicks on the news tabs, sorts the articles by date, and reads most of the recent headlines to see if there have been breaking reports overnight. Then she heads to mass.gov to see if the new filings have been added to the docket. But she is a prisoner to her iPhone. Humor has bent to circumstance. When I drive Reed to lunch, she brings up a toast her brother made at her. She brings up a toast that her brother made to her at his wedding, saying he didn't know how he'd ever repay her for support she gave him during a previous breakup. Little did he know he'd get to drive me to my criminal trial, she cracks. At one point in our visit, security guard at one point in our visit, the security guard asks Reed whether she's ever worked with a therapist. No, never. That's what you guys are here for, she laughs. Can they make me look out the window and constantly to make sure the police aren't there? After Reed's mistrial, Canton Police and Massachusetts State Police disciplined some officers. Proctor was suspended without pay. Proctor's supervisor, Buchanan, lost 5 vacation days, and Kevin Albert was suspended for 3 days. Others have remained untouched. Canton Lieutenant Paul Gallagher, a 30-year veteran who collected O'Keefe's blood evidence in solo cups and stored them in a Stop and Shop bag, made $322,389 last year and recently announced his retirement. I'm going to say that number one more time. I'm going to say that sentence one more time. Paul Gallagher, a 30-year veteran who collected O'Keefe's blood evidence in solo cups and stored them in a Stop and Shop bag, made $322,389 last year and recently announced his retirement. Michael Lank, one of the officers who neglected to interview the Alberts on the record or search their home, was promoted to lieutenant in August of 2022, made $247,000 last year, $247,060 last year, and is still on active duty. When I visit the Canton Police Station on Wednesday in July at 4:15, it is completely empty on the first and second floors. The dispatch center is dark. The lounge is outfitted with armchairs and silver scales of justice resting on tables on a table between. What? One side is tipped fully on the table. In September, Canton residents protest outside the station, demanding an independent audit and declaring that they feel unsafe in their community. So the first and second floors are fucking empty, and you've got cops in this building that are making 6 figures a fucking year. One of which, his swan song, is that he fucking collected blood evidence into red solo cups, put them in a shop and save bag, and then went home to his house to get a goddamn fucking leaf blower to blow snow around. And he made $300,000. $322,000. That's insane. Look, and there's the picture of the fucking, look at this shit, dude. Shit makes me mad every time I see it. Look at that shit. Nolan, the Boston police, or the BPD officer turned professor, predicts that Proctor, I had it right the first time, Proctor's punishment is temporary. You can't get fired for incompetence as a police officer. What? He is backed by the Massachusetts State Police Union, which issued a statement saying it is disappointed by Proctor's suspension. Nolan points out the MSP union's own corruption history. In 2022, its former president was accused of running the organization as a criminal enterprise and sentenced to 30 months for racketeering, obstruction of justice, and tax crimes. In September, Governor Maura Healey announced new leadership for the MSP in Jeffrey Noble, who was a lieutenant colonel in the New Jersey State Police. The first time someone outside Massachusetts would run the organization in its nearly 160-year history. Noble, who took office in October, declined to answer questions sent by Vanity Fair. Nolan says that's a baby step in correcting a 2,300-person organization so infamous for scandal that Martin Scorsese made a movie about it. Reed still thinks The Departed is a great film. It is. Lewison, the criminal defense attorney, thinks otherwise. The Reed case has caused such turmoil with the rank and file, I think it's likely that Proctor could end up being terminated. Good. 100% I believe she was framed, says the juror who spoke to Vanity Fair. Holy shit. citing the medical examiner's testimony and that the Commonwealth's accident reconstruction has failed to convince this person that a fatal vehicular collision occurred. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that this is possible within the Massachusetts State Police and the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, the juror added. There's so many people involved in this, the people you're supposed to be able to trust. Bill keeps a running count of the days of the Department of Justice has been investigating his daughter's case. His only hope, Reed has a hard time believing the U.S. Attorney's Office would have committed so much time and resources if they were not building a case. Meanwhile, according to sources, Morrissey's top prosecutors have refused to retry Reed's case. So he has taken the unusual step of retaining outside counsel to spearhead the next trial. This should be great. And that would be Hank Brennan, who defended Whitey Bulger. Through this chapter of her life, they're not going to really talk about that much. Through this chapter of her life, though this chapter of her life has been dark and arduous, Reed tells me she's witnessed the best and worst of humanity because of it. The evil people in my life, you know who you are, she says, once again directing her answers towards people who don't hear her. You know what you did. I am at peace with my maker, and you, I promise, are not. Reed feels a momentum toward justice. It's starting one domino after the other, she tells me. I just don't know how long the trail of dominoes is. Are there 10? Are there 100 more? I don't know how long it takes to get there, but I know there's a big explosion at the end. That's fucking right. There we go. Yo. So, man, thank you so much to Vanity Fair and Julie Miller for writing this excellent article, conducting the research that she did, spending time with Karen Reed, spending time with Karen's family, interviewing people and getting talking to one of the jurors. I mean, they're getting their own phone expert. This was easily the best article ever written on this case, besides anything that Turtleboy has done, of course. Now, yeah, that was absolutely fantastic, and I think that that's the breath of fresh air that we all needed. I'm always saying, man, I think we are all exactly where we're supposed to be, who we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be, and how we're supposed to be right now. And you know, and we got a little, you know, a couple of us got a little restless, you know, a lot of us did. A couple people even, you know, spoke up, you know, aired their frustrations, their personal gripes with other people that have been taking place. That's happened. And it's understandable. And then just as things were getting really tense, this article comes out. And I have to believe that's exactly what this community needed. I have to believe that. If I'm somebody who really tries to find the blessings in everything, and I truly am one of those people, and I really try to be one of those people, you know, I don't subscribe to coincidence, folks. I think that that's it's a beautiful thing to, you know, I think you have to acknowledge these things. Well, at least I have to acknowledge. I don't care what you do. That's none of my business what you do. But I have to acknowledge these things when it seems like a powder keg within our own community, because we're just so restless and we're not getting any answers. And then this breath of fresh air happens where such a massive major magazine, an international magazine like Vanity Fair, writes this expose article, this 2-part expose article, featured article, and finally contains all of the facts that the truth is we've all just been frustrated because we know that if everybody knew the truth, Karen would get more support. You know, if everyone knew the real truth, Turtleboy would get more support. And that's just a fact. Let me go over some super chats here real quick. Trying to find the last one I read. I think that was all right. All right, Loudmouth says I had to hang up my missing dentures because Bukaki was creating some unwanted attention on other channels. Okay, thank you. Tara Boston, thank you so much for the super sticker. Lana X, thank you so much. Hi from the UK. If the reporter got some to review Jen's Google search, if they have the qualifications, can that also be used in the new trial? Yes, I believe it can. But you'd have to ask a lawyer about that. I'm not sure 100%, but I believe it can. Thank you so much. And Liz gifted a membership. Thank you so much. And Coffee Cake, member for a month. Please vote. True. Absolutely. Please vote. And Joseph Kane became a member and super stickered $2. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Now let me I'm just curious. We're just gonna have a little fun here. This is normally, oh, look, Amy's a new member. Thank you so much. This is normally the time where I kind of wrap things up, but we're gonna go a little while longer here. We're gonna go in a little overtime, I think, because this is a big deal, and I like to see how things are shifting. So this person says, leave it to Vanity Fair to be honest and forthright. Karen Reed is innocent. Thank you for reporting the truth. Norfolk County is corrupt, and hopefully sooner than later, the raids will begin. That's Kate. And then Peter Bonilla just put, I've reserved judgment on the Karen Reed case because it was such a media circus, but this Vanity Fair series sells me decisively on the argument that Massachusetts State Police and Norfolk DA's investigation and prosecution were galingly incompetent and wildly corrupt. People, that right there is evidence right there. That is evidence right there that how powerful this Vanity Fair argument is. That's someone right there who is like, it's too sensationalized, and it's probably just as simple as she ran him over, and they're sensationalizing it just to, But this guy is like, dude, after reading this article, and this is the power that mainstream media has. If they just simply reported all the facts, everyone would feel this way. Anybody with common sense is going to feel this way. Clearly. I mean, Vanity Fair. Let's see what Vanity Fair posted here. This summer, Massachusetts murder defendant, blah, blah, blah. They posted the story. So, some idiot. There's only hate comments on the Vanity Fair, and they only posted it 31 minutes ago. Here, let me do this. If you have Twitter, go leave positive comments for Vanity Fair here. Go do that immediately. Stop what you're doing and go do that. So yeah. because there's nothing but negative. There's like 2 comments. One I can't see because it's somebody that blocked me. I don't know who did. And this other guy says, "This is a liar story and you didn't do any research about it." uh can't count the lies. Which is just really funny because saying that they didn't do any research on it, this is the first journalist that actually did any research on it besides Turtleboy. Lala, thank you so much. I'm glad Karen's voice was published. A lot of people forget the person and the daily emotions past the headlines. Agreed. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then Daniela RN says, I have never seen a more corrupt county and this case was just the start. We next have the heartbreaking case of Sandra Birchmore. It's sickening. Karen Reed tells her story about okay, yeah. And there's so many locals. Boston Armand says, tell me it's Karen Reed related and the corruption is about to be exposed. Who didn't even read this article yet? They didn't even know about the article. These are people who are like, they're just locals living in Boston. And this is a guy who's local living in Boston. And then somebody posted this article and they're like, please tell me that this article is exposing the corruption in Boston. Somebody who is already aware and sick of the corruption in Boston. Dude, almost every Uber that I've been in Boston and the subject comes up, the Uber drivers are like, yeah, fuck that, dude. These people are dirty as fuck, man. Yeah, like seriously, dude. These people are fucking, yeah, it's gross. Like, you don't even know. You don't even know. That's the essence of my Uber drives, my Uber rides when I'm in Boston. It's crazy. Everyone knows it. Let me see something here. Shut up. Okay. I was hoping to see something else, but yeah, Plevin's been awful he's been awful quiet today. Plevin's been awful quiet today. That's always fun. No new posts as of the last 15 hours, it looks like. And Emily, thank you for becoming a new member. So let's do this. All right, so the phone lines are now open. You can call in if you want. Anybody have any thoughts? Because that's who I'd love to hear from right now. Like I want to hear from the the supporters who have been so adamant about this and finally have some validation here. GP Dog Drool gifted 10 memberships. Oh my god, that is amazing. Oh my god. Carrie Ann, thank you. Will, so great to see you live. Yes, thank you so much. Great to see you here. Appreciate it. So nobody wants to call in? Nobody wants to call in? No, I don't, Wendy. I don't. I'm just interested to see what people have to say after this article has been released. Because it changes a lot.
Call from Allison.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
I'm gonna be on TV, Michael.
You're on TV.
Hi, yes, this is Allison.
Hi, Allison.
Sorry, I was talking to my boyfriend. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I'm from Ohio.
Right on. How's Ohio?
And it's all right.
Cool.
But we're just watching all the chaos going on in Massachusetts. And we're just absolutely just boggled by how all this can just, go down like this. And they're acting like nobody's watching, that nothing's going on. And it's just crazy to me how much chaos this whole case has just caused.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. What do you think of the article?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful because all the mainstream media is so just, just not on topic. They want to go whatever the cops tell them. They don't want to listen to any other reason, but it's just awesome that, they're being exposed.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to happen.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely.
I
agree.
I don't trust anything mainstream media puts out there. I do not trust it. I go to YouTube for all my information.
I hate that. I hate that.
It's scary. It's scary.
You'll never hear me tell people, if you want, maybe not never say never, but I've never been the kind of guy who is like, get your information from a YouTuber, I've never been that guy. And now it's like, when it comes to this case, you can't pay attention to mainstream media when it comes to this case. You can't.
And what has me worried is like with this election, I'm not trying to get political, but how much, if we can't even trust what mainstream media says about a murder case of some random woman from Massachusetts, how can we believe something as important as an election?
Agreed. Yeah.
And that's what is scary.
It's a slippery slope, isn't it? Right. It's a slippery slope.
Yes. So I'm definitely a Karen Reed fan. I have been from the beginning. I know for my own personal belief that she is 100% innocent. They have railroaded her. They have done everything they can to try to get her to look guilty, but she isn't. No, at all. So I'm not going to take up any more time. I just wanted to call in and say we're watching from.
Thank you so much. All right. Have a good one. You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Well, it's Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, I can't believe it got through. You're awesome. I want to say
You're awesome,
you are.
Katie.
You're awesome. I'm 62. Today's my 30-year sobriety date, and what
Congratulations.
a gift this article is. Thank you very much.
30 years. Wow.
I cannot believe someone finally got it right. And you watched like Sue and all the other little rats come out of the woodwork. Oh yeah, that's what I thought too. What now that this person has written this, everybody's going to say that they said it all along. you did say it all along. I'm just so thrilled that this article came out. It was
Yeah.
it was perfect, don't you think?
I thought so too. I mean, again, to cover everything that I wish she would have covered, it would have to be the whole damn magazine. You know what I mean? It'd have to
Right.
be, it would take up the whole issue. So, you know, there was a couple of things that I really like. I would love to see a story on like a really deep dive story on the Karen Reed support. That I would love to see. Some
Well,
real
this person, I can't remember who wrote the article. I think it's a woman, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She'll probably write a great book. The deep dive, Bev lives 10 minutes from my house. The Walsh case, they lived in the other direction. I live in Situate, Massachusetts, and I'm telling you, it's called the Irish Riviera. And I'm telling you, it's something to do with the Irish and the Irish cops, because they click, and they don't let anybody else in. And it has, you know, not trying to be judge. I'm not trying to judge Irish people. I'm just saying I'm from the North Shore and I've lived here for 40 years, and I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the book. Why don't you write one?
I got to learn how to read first. But I was thinking, I think Karen should write one. I mean, there's no way she's ever going to be convicted, and if she you know, whether she does it on her own or she collaborates with someone else in order to truly like write the story and her account of everything, I think it would do extremely well. And
So do I.
and I think it would be really helpful to the debt that she's in now when it comes to the because it sucks because she can't do it now. She has to wait till it's all over. You know, right now she's too busy.
Can't do anything now.
She's too busy defending her life, right? So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but if she were to do it now, I bet you anything it would sell, it would fly off the shelves, and there's not only her money for her defense, but the money to have that carpet analyzed that she's got in a storage cooler.
That's
So
gonna be great.
I didn't know she had that. That she has she has the carpeting from 34 Fairview that night. I fucking love it. Like, I mean, the answers are there.
And if anybody wants to really remember what a psychopath Bev truly is, they need to go back and watch the pre-trial hearings. I've watched this case so many times, and like, I don't know if I'm addicted to watching Jen McCabe's evil manner. And
so you're one of those. Are you one of those people that goes back and watches the trial testimony over and over again, just to like be like, "Oh, you lying motherfucker"?
Yeah, over and over. I am
funny.
So addicted, I can't even find a movie to watch.
I've been meaning to do it. I've been meaning to go over it again, and I just been slacking on it. But I think I'll start doing that. I mean, if you guys are interested in that, I'll go over it. Yeah, I'll go over that stuff.
Start at the pre-trial, because a lot of people didn't do that, and that I coined the phrase or the name for Bev. I call her Benzo Bev, because when I watch the pre-trials, she's almost like falling asleep up there, and she looks high to me.
Yeah,
she just does.
She looks exhausted at all times. Like everything's exhausting. Everything is a fucking drag, dude. Everything is okay.
Remember that?
Like,
remember the sighs constantly.
Every single time. Okay. I think we'll take a recess. Can I see counsel at sidebar, please? Like everything's exhausting. Everything's a fucking chore.
Mr. Jackson, Mr. Jackson, I've had enough of you.
Mr. Lally, do you
But-
need a couple more minutes, Mr. Lally?
Oh yeah, Mr. Lally, you want me to serve you lunch? Like Bev Lally's mommy.
Yeah. Yeah, she totally.
All I know,
feeds them.
what
Yeah.
a great show you have, and I just love how caring you are with people. And I truly believe that. And no coincidences, Will, that I got on this phone on my 30-year anniversary. So great talking to you. I'll keep
love it.
watching.
I love it. Thank you, and congrats on your 30-year sobriety. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It is. I was 32 years old. That's how fast and furious it was back then.
And you just been like, I mean, dude, what kind of chip do you have? Like, is it like platinum? Like, how do you what kind of chip do you get for that?
The one I have right now, someone gave me, is like ordered on Amazon. This like, but the medallions back then were awesome. They were like the real.
Back in the day,
deal.
they were like real, they were real metal and shit. Yeah, now they're just.
I have like solid brass. Like some are worn because they're passed down.
Oh, that's so cool, man. That is so cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, life's still hard, but it's better living not hungover.
Right on.
Not drunk.
Good for you. I'm still not there yet.
Yeah.
But more power to you. I mean, I'm just one of those people that like I can binge drink for about 2 days and then go, I don't even want to fucking touch this shit for another like 6 months. You know,
Exactly.
I can do that.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, if I couldn't do that, I'd be in recovery too. You know, I would be, because I know that I can't.
If I could get stoned, I would, but I can't. First of all, because it always leads to a beer, that always leads to a shot, that always leads to a line.
Right.
And
that's not everybody. That's just certain people.
Enough.
And it takes that one individual to be self-aware enough to know that this is what happens to me when I smoke a joint. It's gonna lead to a shot. It's gonna lead to a beer. I know me. I know my body. I know my mind. I know how I am, and can't do it. Can't do it. And that
can't do it.
That is so powerful. Like the power that you have, and how strong that power is to be able to do that is amazing. Because that's
the only thing I've ever done right in this world, and everything.
I doubt that, but I doubt that, but you know.
No, I want to let someone else speak, and I really thank you a lot.
Hey, thank you for calling. That is really, really inspiring. Congratulations, seriously, and thanks for sharing that, calling and sharing that with us all. That's awesome.
Thanks,
really
Will.
is. All right, have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Dude, 30 years, man. That's nothing to shake a stick at. Let me tell you. I can understand FBI needs time. Karen may be aware, but who will reimburse her after this is exposed? That's why I'm saying, I mean, she should write a book.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
This is Jennifer. I can't believe I got on.
What's up, Jennifer?
Oh, not much. Just watching your show.
Right on. Thanks for watching.
Oh, thanks. I've been watching for a long time. It's the first time I've ever actually called in.
Right on. When did you start watching? How long? How far back do you go?
Oh, before the trial. It wasn't long before the trial. I think the Kennedy trial first started.
Okay.
But I'm calling from New Brunswick, Canada.
Okay.
So I'm from the Maritimes, and I talk to everybody I know. I have some lawyer friends, and we talk about this case like crazy.
Okay. So what's the consensus?
Oh my goodness. I feel like anybody in their right mind is going to know that she's innocent. There's no way. I mean, it takes only a few minutes of just explaining the initial situation, and everyone's like, something's not right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's wild. Maria,
And then, of course,
one of my first 60 subs. That's crazy. Wow,
yeah.
that's wild. But yeah,
And then, of course, I had to get everybody on to Turtleboy too to kind of get a deeper dive into it because everyone's like, it's just so much. I was like, you need to go and watch like The Glare. You need to go watch Turtleboy. You need to actually, if you want some information, that's where you're going to get really the stuff you don't hear about. But the Vanity Fair article was definitely, it was good.
you just said a boot.
I did.
Sorry. I just I have an affinity for Canadians. I do. I just do. It's like a different planet. It's great.
Oh, I know. And where I'm at, like, I'm in a really small town.
Why are you guys so nice when you're cold all the time? How does that even work? Why? What is this like? Do you have a theory as to why Canadians are so nice?
I feel like it's the slow pace. Like, we're not always in a rush. I feel like maybe that's why.
Because I feel
I mean, there are other
like
parts of
having to
Canada.
shovel snow off my driveway every morning would piss me off. I'd just be a bitter asshole all the time. It's nice. Like,
No,
I've always wondered
I
why
mean, there's
Canadians are
definitely
always in
times,
such
like,
a good mood. They're always so happy.
yeah, I mean, there are definitely times that I didn't like it, but when you grow up around the snow and stuff, I feel like it's just, I don't know, you kind of embrace it. But I mean,
Okay.
I've lived in
Well,
other
right
parts
on.
of Canada where it's more fast paced, but where I'm at, we're all pretty laid back. So we hear the Maritimers are pretty nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I didn't even think I was gonna get into the call, so I'm glad I did. I've wanted to for a while just to show my support and stuff.
Oh,
And
right
let
on.
everybody know that even the small parts of Canada, we're watching it too, and it's crazy. Josh Levy can step in anytime.
Yeah, anytime. I hope so. But it takes time to build the case. I'm
Oh
learning.
yeah,
I'm learning to be very patient.
yeah.
So but when it happens, dude, it's gonna be explosive. Like I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
gonna be a bunch of indictments that are gonna get handed out.
Oh, it's yeah, it is, and I think it goes really deep. I mean, that it's been going on for a long time. It's just generational, and there's just so many things. But you know, they're watching everything. They're involved in everything, and they know way more than anybody. They already know everything. They don't do anything until they have it all wrapped up in a nice bow.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, that's why they have such a high conviction rate, because they
Yeah.
ensure the conviction. They ensure they have enough evidence to get a conviction. They get it done. That's it.
Yeah, and you know it's going to happen because there's way too many eyes on it. I mean, all over the world, everybody knows about this case. Like, there's no way that, I mean, it would just be crazy if nothing did ever come out of it. I just think it's going to be a slow process because they know everybody's watching it. Like, we want something to happen. Like, I just hope she doesn't have to go to trial again. But
Yeah, and she probably is.
yeah, I know.
I mean, but I've come to terms with the possibility and even the likelihood that Josh Levy is letting this go, and if it comes down to Karen Reed actually getting convicted, they can get it overturned in some way, shape, or form. Like, I think that what they're trying to do is build a case against the corruption that's actually happening in the court.
Yeah,
because there's blatant corruption going on in the court. If Turtleboy's right, and if Turtleboy was right, and the state trooper that was handling the jurors is the same state trooper that was in one of the text message thread with Proctor, why is he handling the juries? Why is he even involved with the jury at all? Why is he involved? He should be not. He shouldn't. He's a witness. He shouldn't have any.
No, I know.
Any contact with anyone on the jury.
Yeah.
And I think that might be why they haven't done anything yet. Because I feel like, is it just me, or they just every day keep burying themselves more and more, doing more and more
It's not
shady
just
things.
you.
So like,
It's not just you.
it's. I'm like, they're just sitting back going like, we're not going to jump in yet. We're going to see what else they're going to get up to, or what other shady things they're going to do. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to take this next call. Thank you for calling all the way from Canada. Stay warm.
Thanks. No worries. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Charlie Lynn says, my deepest appreciation of Vanity Fair and Julie Miller for being the first mainstream media reporter to objectively, thoroughly, and honestly write about this case. Hats off to her. I completely agree. Thank you so much, Charlie Lynn.
Call from.
You're on. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, Will. This is Linda.
Hi, Linda.
I just wanted to say that when I read the article in Vanity Fair, it was like I finally was able to take a deep breath because it was so positive and so factual with the truth. And it was just so refreshing to, the way they articulated everything and explained everything. And to hear in Karen's own words, her speaking, to exactly, what happened about the drive to 34 Fairview. I mean, they went into more detail. And I'm sure when this is all over and done with, because Karen's very, very intelligent, I believe that she will write a book.
I think she will too. I mean, it seems almost foolish not to, especially with the way that she articulates her feelings the way that she does. Like it was very, the way that she expressed herself very articulately and plainly, very clear. There was no, she wasn't dancing around
very
anything.
Clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
She was, this is what it is. This is who I am. And this is what's going on. And this is how this is going to turn out. And I'm not going to stop
and
until it does.
Other thing, and she like we both said, she's so articulate and it's easy flowing because her story has never changed. It's always been the same. She knows it. She lived it. She knows what happened, except for when John went into the house, because she saw him put his hand on the doorknob, and she turned to look at her phone, and then he wasn't there. So of course he went in the house.
Yeah.
And the other thing I just wanted to comment on that I was sort of laughing, not really laughing, but Auntie Bev, the other thing she would say to Lally, and this just blew my mind, and it would make me so angry. Mr. Lally, would you like to object?
Right.
She said that over and over. Did she ever say it to Mr. Yannetti or Jackson time?
Why didn't she say that when she was about to declare a mistrial, or when she did declare a mistrial?
Exactly.
Why didn't she ask the defense if they'd like to object?
Mr. Jackson, would you like to object?
Right.
Exactly.
Why didn't that happen?
She did that. I wish someone would count all the times in the trial that she said that to Lally. Would you like? I had never in my life heard a judge say that to a lawyer. Would you like to object?
Right. And we're supposed to sit here and act like that's just,
normal.
That's court. That's court. No, dude, I've covered too many trials to go, wait a second, to not go, that's not normal. What the fuck is that?
Exactly.
So yeah, it makes me mad. Yeah, Judge Beverly.
I mean, the whole
dirty birdie.
Yes, yeah, and just like you and so many other people on your channel, we know the case from the beginning because we've watched it. I've watched the whole trial twice, and then of course I follow you and Young Jerks and Melanie Little, and I was just consumed with it as well, and that's where we always went to, all of you, to get the information, the true information. And like your last caller said, I agree with her so much. I don't follow the mainstream media anymore as well. And she was right. You know, there's so much corruption, and I had posted before, and I'm not getting political, but it's from the very top to the bottom. It's
Right.
everywhere. And I'll be so glad when this comes out and Karen has her true freedom again.
Yeah.
And bless Karen and her family. She has been through so much. I can't even imagine going through what she has been through.
Yeah. Agreed. I agree.
And that's all I called to say. And you have a wonderful day. And everyone out there, hello. I love all of you guys. You're great. And I'll talk to you again soon.
All right, on. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. She was sweet. All right. I don't have any more callers coming in, so I'm closing out the phone lines. This seems like a good time to wrap it up, folks. Guys, I really appreciate all you guys being here and joining me. I hope this was as much of a breath of fresh air to all of you guys as it was to me. And Julie Miller, thank you for writing that article. Thank you, Vanity Fair, for publishing it and for writing doing a thorough investigation, independent investigation into the facts of this case. And oh wait, I got a troll calling me. You're on. Who am I speaking with? No, they hung up. It's like they're calling my old burner number. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, they're calling my old burner number. So yeah. It's somebody who's been watching. But check out Kevin Keen's podcast, Hard Rock Life. I remembered it this time. Kevin Keen is awesome. And yeah, man, you guys are amazing. I appreciate all you guys. If you guys, again, let me drop the link in chat again real quick for this. All right. So check this out. The link that I just dropped, I was on Resistant to Silence channel last night. We had a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. So make sure to check that out and give them a like. And I think Attorney Melanie Little just went live, and I think she's going to be talking about the Delphi case or whatever. But if you're interested in that, make sure to go over there and check her out, and make sure to let her know it's a Glera raid. So go check out Melanie Little. Guys, I want to thank you all for joining me today. It's a great start to the day. I'm really grateful to get to start my day hanging out with you guys. And thank you guys for everything, for hitting the like. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you're new subscribers, I hope you continue to enjoy the channel. I really, really do. The more this community grows, the more blessed I feel. And I'm just so grateful to you guys for that. So thank you so much. And all the support. You guys are so generous and so kind. Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate that. It's mind-blowing, really. So thank you guys. You all are absolutely amazing. And I am I always I never have the words to really express how I feel. Because I always really enjoy these live streams, and it's difficult to end them and say goodbye. But I do love you guys very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.